Hi, everybody. I'm Alan Britt,
And I'm Andy Wike.
and welcome back. We have brand new release from our boys at Caldwell Cigar Company, part of the Crafted and Curated release. This is the Caída. Super excited about this. It's an iteration of Savages, which was sadly discontinued after the fire in the DR that affected quite a few brands. And it's a personal favorite among a lot of us here at Smokingpipes. So we're super excited about a new iteration.
Yeah, so Savages was sadly discontinued after the 2022 fire, along with a handful of other brands. You know, there was a lot of rationalization that had to happen just to make sure that Caldwell customers could continue to receive the core line product during that sort of turbulent time.
Right.
Of course, some time has passed since 2022, and things are sort of firing on all cylinders again. The Tabacalero William Ventura factory, the new factory, is kind of amazing.
Yeah. I haven't got to make it down there.
Oh no, no, Alan. Yeah, it's a really cool spot. Love those guys. That the whole Ventura family is just so special. Yeah. The relationship that they have with Rob is like, I don't know, it's like out of a story or something. They're just really good people.
Fairy tale story.
You know, they often say that creativity doesn't come from freedom of choice. It comes from the inherent limitations around something, right? And so I think the fact that all Crafted and Curated releases are very, very, very small runs really gives Rob an opportunity to create something special. And I'm super excited about this one. You know, like, this is the first Crafted and Curated release since Caldwell's merger with Laudisi.
Yep.
So it was really cool to work hand in hand with Rob on developing this one. The overall direction of this blend, I think, is super cool too, because it's a more abstract sort of interpretation of Crafted and Curated. Yeah. So this cigar is called Caída, which in some areas is sort of a slang term for misfit. You know, I think Rob sort of literally translated it once to the one that fell wrongly from the tree. Yeah. And so we just had a lot of fun with that, and we kind of came up with this idea of like the bad apple. You know, like Rob has always been sort of counterculture, and you know, he's a self-made man, and pretty much any choice that he's made has been his own, and he's very creative when it comes to problem solving and like disrupting some of the traditions of the industry.
You know, a disruptor for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely a disruptor. So I think coming out of the gate, first Crafted and Curated release since the merger, with this sort of nod to like his degenerate side is a pretty bold move, Cotton.
Yeah.
You know, so. But yeah, I mean, like all Caldwell cigars, I think the art is awesome. Yeah. Like this Savages band has always been
one of my favorites. Yeah.
Like it's such a unique shape, and then I really love the color palette. You know, we were talking about having, you know, lighter bands and rings on cigars, and how that just really pops.
Light bands taste better.
Light bands taste better, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but so Savages, you know, you mentioned it was one of your favorites, also one of mine. I have plenty of those cigars still in my humidor. Yeah. What's really interesting about this is that, you know, Robert wanted to bring back the experience of Savages, but not like a one-to-one necessarily, right? Yep. So there may be plans in the future to bring back the core line Savages, but this is a special Crafted and Curated release.
Yeah, I immediately lighting it up. I was kind of joking with you guys and said this is like Savages grew up.
Yeah, it's very sophisticated.
Yeah.
The original Savages is very spicy. It's very, you know, especially for a Caldwell cigar, it is more like medium to full-bodied. And I think that, you know, you're getting some of that here, but you're also get some of that sort of signature creaminess, that sort of old school, like Davidoff-esque sort of flavor profiles.
Exactly. Yeah. I think anyone who is into sophisticated Dominican cigars, obviously the first one everyone thinks of is Davidoff, and I usually don't like to make that comparison, but I feel like it works here. Anyone who enjoys white label things like that, you'll love it.
Yeah.
It's got that signature musty Dominican barnyard funk. Super powdery mouthfeel
Yeah, it
for
is.
me. Mild to medium, I'd call it. I'd normally smoke some fuller stuff.
Sure.
I think most would call this medium.
Yeah, I mean, like my sort of desert island cigar is the Eastern Standard Euro Express, and so for me, this is like a step up from that, like in terms of strength and complexity. You know,
But it's crazy complex.
it's really complex. Like I'm getting a lot of those barnyardy notes. There's some like cedar and leather.
Yeah.
There's like a little bit of spice, but not quite as much as I would associate with the OG Savages blend.
I was gonna say like a chai.
Ooh, I could
Spice.
see that. Like
Yeah.
almost like baking spices. Yeah.
Very chai-like.
Yeah.
And what's crazy to me is just that mouthfeel. So I normally associate this buttery, I say powdery for lack of a better word, but this buttery mouthfeel with very well-aged Dominican tobacco, which I would very much assume this is.
Yep. Yeah. So as far as components go, what we're looking at here is especially aged Habano wrapper, especially aged Dominican fillers, and a matured Sumatra binder.
Yeah.
So all the tobaccos in the cigar are pretty well aged, which I think we're seeing in some of the complexity and just the overall like finish here.
Yeah. It's super clean.
It's super clean.
Very
like
clean
it's
finish.
very complex, but like it's not like a complexity that lingers on your palate,
Yeah.
right? Like
It's just true all-day smoke. I feel
think
like
so.
I could smoke
Yeah.
a box of these in a day, and my palate would be just as fresh as it was today, tomorrow.
yeah, I totally agree with that. I think another thing that's contributing to that complexity is the fact that it is a box press cigar.
Yeah. Which they don't do a ton of at Caldwell.
No, I mean, and I think it's cool for the crafted and curated line. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the crafted and curated series, it's sort of Robert's creative playground, if you will. So Robert is sort of a maniac.
Sort of.
Yeah, he is always going like 100 miles an hour, even when he's resting and relaxing. I've never seen someone like R&R so hard, you know. But like for the crafted and curated series specifically, it's a really cool like outlet because it allows Rob to continue to create new blends, to iterate on ones that he's quite fond of. So most of the releases that you see in this series are sort of like iterations or plays on existing blends. So, you know, if we look back at Louis the Last, for example, which was a Last Tsar sort of iteration.
I remember when these released in 2022, the first batch of Crafted and Curated, we actually had an event with Rob at Low Country Pipe and Cigar, and I have maybe never been as excited about anything because I smoked a lot of Caldwell then, I smoke a lot of Caldwell now, and some of the blends were plays on my personal favorites. Still to this day, the Crafted and Curated Athenae,
Oh, yeah.
which was a play on Eastern Standard, me and you both love. They're just fun cigars. It's great to smoke side by side. You know, to take a regular Eastern Standard, smoke it side by side with that Athenae to taste the differences. And those, I believe that one used aromatico tobacco in the filler, different fermentation processes, just things that can't be replicated on a regular basis.
Yeah,
that's the case here.
That's exactly right. You know, it's like not only is it, you know, new ideas or new iterations of stuff that Rob's come up with, but it's often using special leaf or more gourmet boutique vitolas that are, you know, much harder to produce in the factory. 6x54 box press.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got aged Dominican fillers, aged Sumatra binder, and a really nice Habano wrapper.
And these are produced by
Henderson. Henderson is obviously, you know, one of the Ventura sons, and He has his own factory, Mina del Rey, and that's a super cool factory. Every time that we go to the DR, we visit him and spend a lot of time with him. He's just such a homie. And obviously him and Rob are like brothers at this point.
Yeah.
So Henderson also did the 10th anniversary cigar, which was released last year. And I think we can foresee a lot more collaboration.
Yeah. Also some the recent Lost and Found.
Yep.
10 packs.
Yep.
Which were awesome.
Yeah.
And are pretty much sold out everywhere.
Yep.
So if you didn't get it, sorry. But they're good.
Act faster.
Yeah. And Henderson makes great cigars.
Oh yeah, definitely. He does tend to like lean more towards like fuller bodied, spicier stuff, which is I think is super cool. That like working with Rob and his more traditional palate, his more Davidoff-esque palate, you know, and finding a blend, creating a blend that like works so well within the Savage's experience, but then also has that sort of signature Henderson flair to it, but. Not quite the spice bomb that you might expect, but
yeah, this isn't what I expect from that factory. It's
Sure.
just like you said, Henderson's profile typically tends to be more medium full, more in your face, and this is just, in one word, a sophisticated cigar.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, in the past we've often talked about, you know, the Venturas as, you know. William has more of a traditional sort of Davidoff palate, which is very much similar to Rob's. And then Henderson is sort of on the other end of the spectrum with like, you know, very spicy, very full-bodied, like
Very new school American cigar.
Yeah, very new school. And then Weber, who runs Tabacalera William Ventura, sort of sits somewhere in the middle. So it's really interesting to see that collab with Henderson. Kind of result in this, because I think it's probably one of the most complex and like crazy tasting cigars that I've had in general.
Yeah, I waited for this to be my first cigar of the day, which was tough. It's in the morning, but normally
It's hard out there for
like
us.
cigar number 3 by this time.
We have a really hard life.
But I'm glad I waited. This is absolutely killer. I can't wait to put these in the hands of everybody else. Super limited production, couple hundred boxes.
Yeah, so only 200 boxes made. They're 10 count boxes. And yeah, 6x54 box pressed. Yeah, these will go for about $15 per stick. So yeah, be sure to check them out. Super limited quantities. I'm not sure how many Smoking Pipes we'll get, but like it's 200 boxes for everyone.
Yeah.
So super limited production. Like make sure to get on these so you don't end up like, you know, those who didn't get those Lost and Found awesome sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get them at smokingpipes.com or your local retailer, and enjoy. Smoke more Caldwell.